So, we've got this guy, Mr. Rogers, right? He's got not one, but 2 wives. Yep, you heard that right, 2 wives. And as if that's not spicy enough, they all live together and share the same bed. Talk about a full house. They're all in paternity court today, so clearly something must have gone wrong.
Miss Campbell, you're here desperate to learn if the man you're in love with is indeed your 3-week-old daughter's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Rogers, you're a married man, and although you have reason to doubt, you say it would break your heart if you found out today that you're not Anna Gale's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
But here's where things get nuts. One of his wives, Ms. Campbell, is in court to find out if Mr. Rogers is the father of her 3-week-old daughter, Anna Gale. And Mr. Rogers, oh boy, he's a married man who's got a heart of gold. It would crush him if he found out he's not the daddy.
We've been married for 20 years, and we met Gracie where we worked at, and they kind of hit it off together. She brought Gracie into the relationship just for herself. I knew she liked women, so I kind of just let her go ahead.
Okay, and how did it progress?
I let them, have their relationship. I got brought into it about a year later. Gracie wanted to have children.
Now, hold on to your seats because this roller coaster is only going up. Ms. Campbell and the other wife, Angela, went to a swingers club in Phoenix. And nope, they weren't just there to dance. They ended up getting cozy with another guy without protection. The audience was gasping, and so were we.
Okay, Your Honor, may I interrupt? Okay, that is not completely 100% true.
Okay, so
Let me explain
somebody
how
tell
this,
me the truth.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you the truth how this went down. She decided she wanted to show me some of the things that she used to do. One of them was a swingers club. I did not particularly want to go. Finally, because I love her, I relented and I went.
Mr. Rogers had no clue about any of this. He thought they were just picking up Gracie's mom. Can you imagine? He's at home thinking everything's peachy, and his wives were out there making their own rules. But wait, there's more. Ms. Campbell admits to getting too drunk and making a huge mistake. She's sorry, but sorry doesn't cut it in paternity court, folks. And Angela, oh, she tries to put the blame on Gracie for leaving her phone open. That's how Mr. Rogers found out about the whole deal. Talk about a plot twist.
Mr. Rogers, you really didn't see this coming.
No, I didn't. I didn't see any of this coming. I thought we had a good relationship. Me and Gracie, we have a son together, 2-year-old son. She wanted another child, and I thought that's what we were going to have together. And for all this to happen, I don't know what's going to happen now.
Mr. Rogers' teenage son, Austin, who's got his own paternity drama, is brought into the courtroom. Turns out Austin has Crohn's disease, which is usually hereditary, but nobody in their family has it. So just like that, his paternity was in question too. Double whammy. Judge Lake wants to deal with Austin's case separately, so she decides to conclude Anna Gale's case first.
While you wasn't around.
All right, this is your teenage son,
Yes,
whose
Your Honor.
paternity is also in question.
Yes, Your Honor.
Jerome, please bring Austin in.
But it wasn't like the situation with Gracie. I went to him, told him I was pregnant. I told him what I'd done.
The court's got all the evidence, including photos of baby Anna Gale's eyes that look just like Mr. Rogers. Ms. Campbell is holding on to hope that he's the father, and Mr. Rogers, bless his soul, has been playing dad to this little girl, regardless of the swinging shenanigans. But folks, the moment of truth arrives. The results are in for baby Anna Gale. The courtroom is silent, and everyone's on the edge of their seats.
In the case of Rogers versus Campbell Rogers pertaining to 3-week-old Anna Gale Rogers. Mr. Rogers, you are her father. Really?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being there for her regardless.
Remember Austin? It's his turn now. He's been raised by Mr. Rogers, thinking he's his real dad for 18 years. The drama that these two women have brought into the courtroom is wild, but it's all about to come to an end because the results are in. The bailiff hands over the envelope to the judge, and everyone is holding their breath.
Mr. Rogers, you've waited 18 years for these results, and the wait is over. You are his father. I think that deserves a family hug.
I love you. I love you too.
Well, that's beautiful.
We've got Mr. Thomas Rogers, who's in the middle of a huge paternity mess. He's married to Alexis Rogers, who, get this, admits to having an affair. That's right, folks. She went to a party, had a few too many drinks, and ended up in bed with another guy while her husband was at a funeral. Talk about bad timing.
Mrs. Rogers, you admit you had an affair, and it is possible that another man besides your husband fathered your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Rogers is here along with your mother-in-law seeking the results of a paternity test. Now, Mrs. Angela Rogers, you claim your son's wife cannot be trusted?
But wait, it gets even more complicated. Alexis ended up pregnant, and guess who signed the birth certificate? Yep, Thomas did, even though he knew there was a chance he might not be the father. Now, why would he do that? Well, Thomas wanted to believe little Coda was his and wanted that picture-perfect family life. Can you blame him?
I'm not a very well drinker.
Okay, but let's go back. She has a baby. Okay, she gets pregnant. She has a baby. She makes him sign this birth certificate even though she don't even know if it's his or not.
I didn't make him do anything.
Mom, you have this birth certificate. This is your son's signature. Jerome, will you please hand that to me, please?
Now, enter the mother-in-law, Angela Rogers, who's convinced that Alexis is only after her son's military benefits. Ouch! That's one hell of an accusation. Angela is not holding back, guys. She's throwing shade left and right, saying Alexis is using the baby as a weapon. Drama alert!
My problem is
The whole time.
I think she's just disrespectful in a way that she needs to be more respectful, like the whole funeral thing. Okay, I got it that she thinks his family didn't like her,
Thanks.
but she should have been there anyways, not for his family. That's respect to him. She should have been there respecting him, been there for him.
The tension in the courtroom is through the roof. Alexis and Angela are at each other's throats, and poor Thomas is caught in the middle. He's about to be deployed, and he's worried sick about leaving behind a family that's hanging by a thread.
She'll say, I'll have him to call you back. Months later, I still ain't got a call back.
If you're the mother that I believe you've been, seems like he should be calling you anyway to check on you.
She doesn't want him to. That's the problem.
I have never told him he could not call you.
Mr.
Not
Rogers,
once.
Angela is worried too, but not just about her son going off to war. She's terrified that if something happens to him, she'll never see her grandson again because of the bad blood between her and Alexis. It's a real fear, and you can see the pain in her eyes. But here's the kicker. Alexis and Angela can't even agree on who little Coda looks like. People are saying the baby looks just like Alexis and her side of the family, and nobody's even asking if Thomas is the dad. That's gotta hurt.
Is that true? Did you come get the baby and you wouldn't let him spend the night with his grandmother?
Yes, that is true. Just because his father had been drinking and was not using his right mind,
But
and
he
I
was
did
with
not
me.
want him. You
The
were
baby was
taking
with
his
me.
side. You were taking his side.
I'm his mama.
Thomas is heartbroken over the whole situation. He's standing there saying he sees himself in Kota and that he feels like he's the father, but the doubt is eating him alive. He's desperate to know the truth before he leaves for deployment. He needs something to fight for, and you can tell he's hoping Kota is his son.
So you are enlisted in the military and will be deployed.
Yes, ma'am.
And let me first say we appreciate your service.
Thank you.
And let me further say, I understand now why you're saying when you go, you're feeling very overwhelmed about what you'll be leaving behind, the uncertainty.
The courtroom is a battlefield of emotions. Alexis is in tears, saying she just wants everything to be normal and to feel wanted by her husband. And Thomas? He's just trying to hold it all together, saying he's done everything for Alexis and doesn't feel appreciated.
The rest of my family, if I'm gone, if something happens to me, I want to know that she is going to let them see him and that it's not just going to be her family.
So one of your fears and one of the main reasons you're here today is because you're fearful that if something happens to you, God forbid, you would have never known if Coda was truly
It's truly
your
mine.
son,
Yes.
your biological son.
And then, just when you think it can't get any more heated, Angela brings up how frustrated she is about her fractured relationship with Alexis. The accusations had been flying since the case started, and it was now time to cue the waterworks. Everyone was crying, and emotions were high.
I want to bond with her. I want to stop this today. I want to leave here today knowing that me and her can sit down and stop this because we've got that beautiful baby there that deserves all the love he can get, and he deserves all of us, not just some of us in his life.
I haven't kept you from him yet.
This case has it all: betrayal, fear, love, and a desperate need for closure. Will Thomas go off to war knowing Coda is his son? Will Alexis and Angela ever bury the hatchet? And most importantly, will this family find peace before Thomas's deployment? We're on the edge of our seats here, and you probably are too. The results are in, and the truth is about to be revealed.
Mr. Rogers, you are his father.
Thank God. I'm happy to hear it. I know I got something to fight for. I know he's mine. That's all that matters. I've got him.
Yes,
And I'm gonna do everything in my power to give him the best life I can.
The drama in this next case was off the charts. This was a showdown between Ms. Jackson, the wife, and Ms. Lipscomb, the so-called mistress, with Mr. Jackson caught in the middle like a deer in headlights. So buckle up, because we're about to spill all the tea.
Ms. Jackson, you say you're here to confront your husband's mistress and to prove her 1-month-old daughter, Kiesha, is not his biological daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Furthermore, you say, if you learn today that the child is in fact your husband's, your marriage is over.
That's right, Your Honor.
Ms. Jackson marched into court ready to confront her husband's side chick, Ms. Lipscomb. She was there to prove that the 1-month-old baby girl, Kiesha, was not her hubby's kid. And she was dead serious about it, saying if the child was his, their marriage was toast. On the flip side, Ms. Lipscomb claimed that her baby was definitely Mr. Jackson's. All she wanted to do was make Ms. Jackson deal with the truth.
How did you find out your husband may be having a child with his mistress?
Your Honor, let's talk about that. I got an epiphany, call it woman's intuition, whatever you want. Well, I went to my husband's job. It was about 9:30 or 10:30 at night, and he approached the car. We talked for a few minutes, and to end our conversation.
Now, let's rewind to how this all started. Ms. Jackson had a hunch something fishy was going on and decided to confront her husband at his job. And guess who popped up like a jack-in-the-box? Ms. Lipscomb, in her car, eavesdropping on their convo. When Ms. Jackson knocked on her window, Ms. Lipscomb introduced herself as the girlfriend, and Ms. Jackson dropped the bomb. Well, hi girlfriend, I'm his wife. Mic drop.
I feel as though there's something going on that you hadn't told me, because he had been distant in the days prior to. I had put him out. So, Your Honor, and as we were standing outside talking, we were in the front of the building, and the defendant pops up in the car like she's Ricky Raccoon or somebody, Your Honor, upon hearing my voice.
Ms. Lipscomb wasn't fazed, though. She claimed Mr. Jackson told her his wedding band was from a previous marriage. Men can lie. Come on, who buys that? Ms. Jackson sure didn't, and neither do we.
How did you know her voice?
Because when I'm around Mr. Jackson and she calls and the kids calls, that's how I know her voice is so high pitched. You can hear her through the phone. But she was always labeled as my BM, which is my baby mother. BM does not spell wife. Wife is spelled W-I-F-E.
Oh, she
not
can spell,
BM.
Your Honor. Wow. Okay.
So it didn't dawn on me to ask, are you married now? Because if you're married now.
Now, here's where it gets juicy. Ms. Jackson revealed that she actually bought stuff for the baby, over $900 worth. She did it out of the kindness of her heart, even though she thought Ms. Lipscomb had moved on from her husband. But wait for it. Ms. Lipscomb then admits she's still seeing Mr. Jackson. Yikes.
My husband went to jail that night, Your Honor. He and
You sent them to jail
I was
over
angry
bogus.
enough,
He called
Your
the police
Honor.
and said
I was
that he jumped
angry
on her
enough
and sent them to jail.
to send
made
him to
lose his
jail, Your
job
Honor.
in his
It was an
room.
impulsive decision, and I understand it was not the right decision, Your Honor.
Stupid.
But yes, I sent him to jail because I knew that he had some legal issues going on in another state.
Mr. Jackson finally joined the circus, and he was as helpful as a screen door on a submarine. He confirmed he never told Ms. Lipscomb that he was married. And guess what? He even signed the baby's birth certificate, making him the legal father. But when asked if he was paying child support, he was as silent as a mime.
Pressing anybody with this tit-for-tat nonsense, but you just look silly.
Your Honor,
Because
this is
ultimately,
disrespectful.
he's not fighting for either one of y'all.
Your Honor, and
He's sitting over here, quiet, just watching a random tennis match with two women going back and forth, and he's sitting there with a smirk on his face.
Ladies and gents, the plot thickens. Ms. Jackson dropped a bombshell. She's pregnant again with Mr. Jackson's baby. And Mr. Jackson, he couldn't even decide which woman he'd stand next to. He chose to stand in the middle, like that would solve anything.
I didn't even know how that happened, when it happened. She brought
I'll
that
tell you
to
how
my
it happened. On the day when you doubtfully signed paternity
She brought
and
that to
created
my
another
attention way
dependent.
before then.
Are you gonna raise this baby? What?
It's like you say,
I'm not your wife. I want an answer.
it's like you say. My
Are you
baby's
gonna
on
raise the
fire.
baby? this baby?
The courtroom was a battleground, with Ms. Jackson and Ms. Lipscomb trading insults like Pokemon cards. But Judge Lake wasn't having any of it. She called them out for their silliness and Mr. Jackson for his lack of action.
Ladies, there's some days where you gotta put your big girl panties on. You put them on, do what you gotta do and figure out what you gotta figure out and you get it done, because he's not gonna help. What were you saying?
Is it okay?
That would be wonderful. She asked could she give you a hug.
Kiana.
Now, hold on to your hats because it's time for the results. Drum roll, please. Was Mr. Jackson the father of little Kiesia? You could cut the tension with a knife, and it was time for Judge Lake to reveal the DNA test results.
Mr. Jackson, you are not the father.
Thank you. It's still over. It's still over, Your Honor.
Now it's not even her husband's child. After all of this, what about this beautiful little baby? Do you know who her father is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is he gonna wanna be a part of her life?
No, probably not.
Ms. Knox was out to prove that Mr. Bailey was the father of her 1-year-old son, Cash. She also wanted some cash, $3,180 to be exact, for child-rearing expenses. But Mr. Bailey and his mom were not having it. They were convinced Ms. Knox just wanted to cash in on Mr. Bailey's rising fame as a dancer. Yes, you heard that right. We're dancing straight into this one.
Ms. Knox, you are seeking a DNA test to prove to your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Bailey, that he is the father of your 1-year-old son, Cash. You claim the only reason he's denying your son is because of his meddling mother. Not only do you want to establish paternity, you are also suing for child-rearing expenses.
The tension was high from the get-go. Ms. Knox started off saying she'd been taking care of Cash all by herself for a whole year, paying for everything, diapers, car seats, you name it. Meanwhile, Ms. Bailey was quick to jump in, accusing Ms. Knox of wanting to play the money game because her son was about to hit it big. I mean, can you imagine? Your baby's daddy is about to become a dance star, and you're left holding the diapers.
In the sum of $3,480, is that correct? Ms. Bailey, you claim your son is a famous dancer and is about to hit it big. Both of you claim Ms. Knox is pinning a baby on your son because she is after his fame and future fortune.
Yes, Your Honor.
But wait, it gets better. Ms. Knox claimed that Mr. Bailey didn't help at all, not even in the hospital. But Mr. Bailey wasn't silent. Oh no, he claimed he paid for the baby's circumcision. That's right, folks, $200 out of his pocket for little Cash's big snip.
That I've had my child. I had to struggle to take care of him alone. I paid for everything.
That's because you wanted to, little girl.
That's because
no, ma'am.
No, I paid for everything because he quit his job, and in June of 2014, I asked him, when will he start to pay for something? And he said he will.
I always had
July 13, 2014, when it came, he didn't have anything.
The back and forth was wild. Accusations were flying like crazy. Ms. Knox said Mr. Bailey quit his job and didn't pay for anything. But Mr. Bailey's mom, oh, she was on fire. She kept insisting that Ms. Knox was after the fame and fortune. She even suggested Ms. Knox was already pregnant before meeting her son.
Do you have receipts?
Yes, I do have receipts
that will substantiate
of all the stuff that I had bought for my child.
Jerome, may I see those, please?
I had to buy wipes, car seats, strollers. I had to buy everything. I haven't seen anything from it, Mr. Bailey.
So these are receipts for
a car seat,
walker,
a stroller,
car seat, swing, baby expenses.
And then, the plot twist. Mr. Bailey found some suspicious text messages on Ms. Knox's phone. Texts to another guy, just minutes apart from his own. It was like a race. Who would get to Ms. Knox first? It was a soap opera in the making.
Half of which is $3,480, which you say he would be responsible for.
Yes.
To help raise the child that you claim is, in fact, his biological child.
Ma'am, as soon as my potential child was born, I paid to get his circumcision. I paid for that. That was $200 out of pocket.
Why, if he's not your child?
No question.
But Ms. Bailey, oh, she had her own theories. She was convinced Ms. Knox was already showing a baby bump when she first met her. She even brought out a timeline board to the court to prove her point. Talk about prepared!
I started doubting when I started seeing her actions, like who does that? Around the time I had first went got her, right? I'm not no phone checking type person, that's not my style, okay? But I just so happened to go through her phone. She was texting me and this little dude around the same time. telling us, it was like the same conversations, right? Like minutes apart, not even, you know, like minutes apart. So the last text message said, I'm gonna come give you a hug and a kiss.
The drama didn't stop there. Ms. Knox claimed she didn't want to put Mr. Bailey on child support because, let's face it, he wasn't exactly rolling in dough. But then she changed her mind because Mr. Bailey wasn't stepping up. And Mr. Bailey? He thought Ms. Knox was playing games, even tweeting about keeping receipts for court. Who does that? Mr. Bailey does, apparently. And oh boy, the courtroom was chaos. Everyone was arguing, and the judge had to slam that gavel down to get some order. It was like watching a game of ping pong, but instead of a ball, they were using their words.
The only reason.
So you're saying you got a letter in the mail that says that you were going to be taken off child support?
No, my case would no longer be pursued. I didn't even know.
So when you got that letter,
the only way they would close your case is if she went down there and claimed somebody else is the father and she put somebody else on child support.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, Mr. Bailey dropped another bomb. He received a letter saying the child support case against him was no longer being pursued. What? Ms. Knox explained she didn't want to go through with it because she didn't want to wait on a check from a guy who didn't have a job. But then she flipped the script again and put him back on child support.
So I did it, and then I responded to the case the most. So that's how the case got closed. I didn't go down there and say close the case. I just didn't respond to it at all. But I recently did it.
Why?
I did it because I did not want to have to go through that process. I do not want to have to sit around and wait on no check that you do not have.
So
you don't even have no money to give me.
Okay, so
you don't even have a job. So I'm not trying to go through no child support. I'm not trying to make you go through it.
I got several.
That's why I did not go through with it the first time.
The judge laid down the law, telling them that Mr. Bailey's right to see his child was separate from his financial obligations. That's right, folks. You gotta pay up, but you also gotta show up. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the DNA results.
Mr. Bailey, you are Cash's father.
That's fine. You're still a tramp.
You seem emotionless. How does it feel?
That's my son. I'm gonna move forward with, you know, what I gotta do as a father, and I'm not gonna let her bring me down. I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing, because I know the truth.
You both are gonna have to figure out how to parent this child.